SIGA as they call it. If you put that together, that's 27.3 billion Ghana cedis lost. If you're running a business and you're losing this much, do you still continue to run the business, or do you shut down? Do you sell it off? Do you look for partnerships? What must change about our state-owned enterprises? The state interest and the governance, entities that we have. A total of state interest entities, 175. You're looking at the entities reviewed in SIGA 2024 report, 147. That's 84% of the total. And then state-owned enterprises, 503. Joint venture companies, 31. And then other state entities, that's 63. This is also sourced from SIGA. Now, be minded that these are companies that are run with your money, your taxes. So if they are profitable, they are not profitable, you should find concern about it. Get to the experts in a bit to get to understand what's really going on. But first, listen to the President of the Republic admonishing state-owned enterprises bosses, CEOs, MDs, and all the communities to be profitable. Listen.
Some of these enterprises have become perennial loss makers, draining public funds with bloated budgets, unjustified allowances and perks, and unnecessary expenditures, while relying on government bailouts as if they were entitled to them. The era of impunity, mediocrity, and financial recklessness must end today. You are among the category of public officers obliged to declare your assets upon assuming office and also upon leaving office. The Director General of SIGA will ensure that you all comply with your assets declarations. The Auditor General will submit a list of those who have complied by an agreed cutoff date, and those who fail to comply would be sanctioned, including possible removal from office. Some of these enterprises have become perennial loss makers, draining public funds with bloated budgets, unjustified allowances and perks, and unnecessary expenditures, while relying on government bailouts as if they were entitled to them. The era of impunity, mediocrity, and financial recklessness must end today. You are among the category of public officers obliged to declare your assets upon assuming office and also upon leaving office. The Director General of SIGA will ensure that you all comply with your assets declarations. The Auditor General will submit a list of those who have complied by an agreed cutoff date, and those who fail to comply would be sanctioned, including
My guest in studio is Dr. Bernard Tete Dumanya. He's a financial economist. Doc, good morning. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, Johnny.
And how are we doing?
Very well. Good to see you.
Good to see you in flesh and blood as well.
Yes.
Nice. Now, Doc, let's begin the conversation this way. This is not the first time a president of the Republic is asking state-owned enterprises to be profitable. But it often doesn't go anywhere because if you look at the records I presented, as by the close of 2024, we had lost so much. So it looks like the advice fell on deaf ears. Why is that so?
Well, I think, interestingly, we still have this colonial mentality of free things. And that has driven most of our chief executives for the state-owned enterprises. And therefore, once I'm in the public sector and I'm working for government, everything must be free. Right. And I think that is what has eaten up into us.
Right.
So even though the president is saying that people are just saying it's one of these talk shows, like you have said. But there is something different about the current president.
Tell me.
For me, he's walking the talk. We have seen the number of appointees that he has made.
Right.
He himself, his attitude towards work. For the first time, we saw by 14 days, the president has put up
his cabinet.
And then I've never seen the president saying that this is my social contract for 120 days. And there's a checklist.
Right.
I want to do this, I want to do this. So I think that this time it will be different. And looking at his experience, because he has been there before, I think he wants to live, like he has been saying, certain level of legacy. on that note. What is striking in this is that it's a possible remover.
That's right.
Yes, people think it's threat, but I think he meant it. And this is not the first time. He has also mentioned that he will give them code of ethics.
Or conduct.
Yes, so that when you cross the line, you just go back and committed. Exactly, so that it will not bring in. So it's not the era where the president is like a clearing agent, which we have spoken about here many times. But this time, I'm sure that even though it's early yet, something positive will come out.
Doc, you mentioned the fact that we still have the colonial mentality of freebies.
Yeah.
But beyond that, the management of the organizations itself. And I've had calls to talk about Georg over and over and over again, how, and nobody seemed to be listening to what we're talking about. Who must we put in charge of a state-owned enterprise or a joint venture, company that the state has interest in, so that the profitability we are looking at comes? You are the economic guru. You tell us.
Yes, apart from being a financial economist, I own companies,
right?
Both in Ghana and outside Ghana as well. So I understand the entrepreneurship component.
Right.
The first thing that I would say is that until I enter into entrepreneurship, I thought that I know all, but there's more to it. That's why you realize that most people who are good entrepreneurs are not normally academic inclined. Right. What we are doing was we are just looking at qualifications and credentials and appoint people. 99% of the people they appointed may be academically good, but they don't have the business sense.
I see.
And that is where we should go back to what our first president said, the need to change our mindset.
Right.
So without that business sense, with all your professorship and whatever, it comes to naught. And that is what I'm looking. There are three things I thought they should look at. The competent leadership.
Right.
I know a professor who is a professor in entrepreneurship, and he couldn't establish barbering shop. Yes, he's there.
He was teaching people to raise businesses.
I won't mention the institution.
Right.
One of these management institutions.
I see.
And he couldn't manage barbering shop with all the credentials. So competency is another thing. But in some cases, if the competency is not there, is it possible to train them? Would they humble themselves to train them? If yes, then the president to take that thing forward and get experts, those who have done it before, to come and share their thoughts and see how best they can shape them to be able to start running that. Business is business. And I tell people, even me, if I'm doing business with my mother, I will sign a contract.
Why?
Yes, because the rules must be clear. There must be transparency and accountability. There must be a performance-based kind of thing. This is what I want to do. If you don't do that, I fire you.
Right.
So I like the fact that the president is saying that, I want to give them something like KPIs, key performance indicators. And when you don't perform and you cross the line, you should go home for somebody to come and perform.
Did we fail as a country when we saw that these state-owned enterprises were still declaring losses, and we still went ahead to give them all the perks? So they have their garden boys, they have their house girls, they have their fuel, they have their V8s, they have their bodyguards, they have this, they have that. They get to travel outside, they have entertainment allowance. Yet the company that they were leading was dropping and sinking. They were enjoying. Did we make a mistake?
Yes, it's a big mistake. I've worked at the public sector before. I won't mention that.
Right.
And I was like a deputy director to my boss, and sometimes we have to borrow money to be able to make my boss travel.
Wow.
Yes, and that's what is happening. What we saw
the company was broke.
Yes,
but you had to borrow money
outside
to tick that box of entertainment or to whatever it is.
Yeah, if you want to go somewhere, we have to appropriate some people's money. And I kept on asking myself. Eventually, I resigned from that company.
Right.
I kept on asking, if it is my private entity I'm running, will I always go and borrow money before I run the system? I think that is the problem. And the three things I've seen in this: failed leadership, failed institution, and corruption.
Failed leadership, failed institutions,
and corruption. Yes, these are the three key things that has been endemic in our state-owned enterprises.
The new CEOs and MDs who have been put in charge of these, and I had the CEO of Ghana Publishing suggesting, for example, that if government decides to do business with government or with itself, a lot more money will come, into the hands of government. I've bemoaned why state-owned enterprises buy vehicles, government buys vehicles, and they don't take it to SIC to go and insure, because that's ready market and ready cash for SIC to start collecting. But that's beside the point. If you had an advice or 3 top advice or 5, if you like, 5 pointers for the new MDs and CEOs, what would it be on how to turn things around in their corner?
Yeah, I think the first thing is that it's good to look at the value chain.
Okay.
And my brother, Professor Pesa White.
Okay.
I've had calls we spoke on the phone.
Right.
We are here to meet anyway.
Right.
I think the first thing is to classify them.
Okay.
By classification means that who feed into what. Somebody's output becomes somebody's input.
Right.
We need to do that analysis as a first step.
Right.
The second step is that if we classify that, how can we do businesses? Can we set up SPVs, special purpose vehicles? If yes, how do we put those things together? And then that will be the order at which we have to start doing business. And the third thing is that what will be the various inputs and resources that we need? Once we get those resources, look, money is the least. And I kept on telling him, in business, money is the least thing that, because anytime you have vision, you get provision.
Right. Right.
So once they do SPV, they put themselves together, we do the classification, we know what we are going to do with the money. We don't need government to give us money. We don't need any taxpayers' money. In fact, I have come to realization that all the state-owned enterprises must be independent. And we should take them off the budget. So that go and look for money to pay your salaries. Go and look for money to be profitable. But when you make profit, it goes to government. So we can only give them a greater capital for the start. And that is all. So if you have a CEO that has been mandated that if you don't perform, we'll sack you. If you don't perform, we are going to do A, B, C, D. And the CEO is on contract based on the performance-based indicators, they will perform.
Is performance necessarily profitability?
Yes, but you see, the performance will carefully, when we are talking about performance, we look at the structures, we look at indicators. We have input, transformation processes, and output.
Right.
So we look at what resources we need to give you, what will be your transformation processes, and what will be the output. That's how we check it.
But if you look at, for example, an institution, a state-owned enterprise that is running in the red, is in the negative,
yes,
and then a young person has been put in there and he's still to perform, how should he go about it? And in fact, if you're assessing him, then will performance mean that he turned the thing around from negative into the positive and then started gaining some more?
Yes. I think in all businesses, the bottom line is to make money. The bottom line is not to go red. And you mentioned of the young
But this one that he's inheriting is already in the red.
Yeah, so
how does he go about it?
So give him indicators. So if you look at the indicators here, you realize that
because let's see the chart. ECG.
The 2020, the overall one.
Right.
The 2022.
Let's see the chart again, quickly, so that we can have right.
No, the other one.
Okay.
The summary. The
infographics.
Yeah. You see, 2019 was 6.4
billion.
Then it went down 2020.
Right.
And then it went down again.
In 2021.
This is performance. Performance doesn't always mean that you should. But when you're on the trajectory to be profitable, it's okay.
So when you're showing signs of growth.
Exactly. But you don't go a depth of 6.4 and then you go back to 15 point something.
In fact, in 2022, we had 14.4 billion.
This one, they should sack all of them, or it's a financial loss. We should try them.
Well, but they were all kept. They were all retained.
Yes, but those who, and that is one of the things I want the president to do. Anybody who runs state-owned enterprise we should investigate them and see. Let me give you an example. We were told by Honorable Jinapo that ECG can order for items.
Right.
And the items comes, they say they don't have money to clear it. And it go to demurrage. Somebody picks it up. Maybe $300,000 worth. They will later go, somebody clears it with 100,000, and he comes back and sell it back to ECG. I don't know whether you heard that story.
I heard that.
So who is in charge?
Right.
So the MD who was in charge, or the chief executive officer in charge, who allowed this thing to happen, must be tried. Must be surcharged. Okay. Remember, Daniel Domolovo said the same thing.
Right.
We should come to the era that we should start surcharging.
So are you suggesting that we should go back and look at the people, enterprises, and who played what role and deal with them?
Exactly. There must be some kind of forensic monitoring and evaluation processes.
Right.
Somebody tough to do that. And then he said that you didn't do this way, you didn't do this. We tried them. Those that we have to take their property, we take them and compensate. Ghanaians are tired of paying taxes and putting it into the wrong hands.
I see.
Our monies must work.
Let's see the chart, the ECG, and I wanted to get into that. So the name of entity, the Mountain Operational and Financials. This is what we have. Electricity Company of Ghana. You're looking at figures from 2021, 2022, 2023. ECG is definitely in the negatives. 1 million down, 1.458.78 down. In 2022 is 8 million losses. 2023 5 million. Greatco made some profit in 2021. That's 300 million, and then they dipped further to 93.52, and then they dipped further in 2023 to 86.56. VRA maintained profitability in 2021, 112.76, and then in 2022 minus 277.18, 2023 minus 380.82. PSC Tamashepiat, subsidiary of Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority, 2021 0. They had nothing at all. And then in 2022, 25.53, 2023 minus 21.91. I mean, all in the negatives. Ghana Railway Company made some money in 298.81 in 2021, and then they dipped into the negative 28.49, and then minus 9.37 in 2023. Ghana Cylinder Manufacturing Company, all through losses. Gihok, all through losses. In fact, in 2021, they had 1.27, and then that was it. And then you have GNPA. I mean, look at it. The story clearly is not good. If you were the one in charge of SIGA, what would be running through your mind looking at this? Well, you have PMMC, you have Graphic, you have Ghana Cocoa Board,
Consolidated
CBG. This big matter was made for CBG about profitability of the banks and not playing by the rules. And look at it.
I think that about three things I would say here. The first one is that I would advise him to look at cost control, where he will implement strict budgeting and cost control measures to reduce unnecessary expenditure. If most of our people are tied by performance, and I kept on saying performance because that's what Singapore did.
Right.
Once that is done in terms of cost control, people will sit up.
So it's not just showing up for work, but actually letting it be felt that you showed up for work, and there's something to hold on to.
Exactly. Staff must be asked to fill timesheets.
Right.
In the private sector, in the international, you fill timesheet to show every hour, 2 hours, whatever you have done.
That's right.
People come and read graphic, but lunchtime go and eat, and they
these days they don't read, they serve the internet.
Exactly. So you'll be there in there. And I saw somebody saying that some people after 10 o'clock they watch porno.
Wow.
Oh, you saw that thing
with company Wi-Fi.
Yes.
Wow. People are bold, eh?
Yeah. And they watch. Because there's nothing to do.
I see.
When we employ people on the basis of political whatever, that's what will happen. I'm not saying don't employ political appointees, but let them have the competencies to be able to do that work. So the first thing is that there should be a strict cost control measures. The second thing is that we should find a way to structure our debt. The traditional way, and when they did the economic forum, or when the finance minister presented the budget, I saw people saying all kinds of things. And it's out of their ignorance. For example, when he says that tax return should be 6 to 4, this is a very innovative way of also increasing your revenue.
Right.
And there are many of these approaches. Many of them to be able to do that to create more revenue. So let's find a way to do our debt structuring. If you inherit debt, how are you going to structure it?
That's right.
Structure it in such a way that you can improve your cash flow. Once your liquidity is improved, you are good to go. 3, let's also do revenue diversification. Explore a new revenue streams. You remember the Honorable Chachuchi Kata?
That's right.
You know he was tried. You know the reason why?
No.
Because he went to use GMPC money for exploration and some farms.
Right.
And they say he has caused financial loss. Today, that has been the backbone
Of GMPC.
the GMPC. Very skilled leadership requires that you think outside the box,
Right.
look at your value chain, and begin to do things that will help you. If you put money always in consumption, will not go far. Monies must be put into projects in order to pay for itself, to keep the institutions
You know
running.
that sometimes when the executive gives a fiat, for example, the fact that the president said, look, we will do regular flights for everybody.
Yeah.
We're not going to do any first class, blah, 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 all of those ones. It doesn't usually trickle down to these state-owned enterprises. So you find a minister sitting in, with the people in economy or premium economy or maybe business class, top. And then you find one of these CEOs whose company is sinking, striding on to first class.
Yeah. So I met a friend in US, and he worked with the so-called international, and he said, hey, Ghanaians, you are wonderful. When we are sponsoring you to go on a course or something, and sometimes we provide business class ticket,
Right.
we see people come to top up
Wow.
from their companies that he wants to sit in first class. I think that is a bloated ego. We are not in the era of doing all these things.
When the company
It's
that is
sinking.
sponsoring you
Yes, it's saying that
pays
go
for
to
business class, then
and
you come and
go
pay.
top up
Wow.
from the company's resources that you want to first.
In the meantime, the company is
Yes.
sinking.
The reason is simple. There is no clear mandates. The president must make sure that we get that defined clear mandates
Okay.
and objective for these SOEs.
So clear mandate,
Yes.
objective,
Yeah.
KPI,
Yes.
performance, and then we're also looking at profitability.
Yes.
You're looking at competence.
Yes.
You're looking at skilled leadership.
Yes.
And then what else?
And avoid corruption.
Okay. Which is critical.
Which is critical because you see, SIGA, and I go back to my brother, Professor Chris.
That's all right.
It must be on the quarterly, half year, every 3 months must be able to analyze it. I don't know what they are doing apart from that. And the moment something goes wrong, you can bring them book. If they don't, you report it and you sanction them.
But I'm sure that you have also maybe noticed that in the not so distant past, we put people as SIGA. We have had Ambassador Boatin there, Samuel Boatin himself has been there, and then subsequently was John Boydu, who was the final one who was under Nanado. It does appear that some of the persons who are appointed to be CEOs and MDs seem to have a stronger connection to the top than the people who are supposed to be supervising their work. So when SIGA bags an instruction, they say, oh, go and sit down. I have the love of the top.
Yeah, precisely, because first, the top has never cracked the whip. Nanado has never done that. Let's see what President
He
Mahama
spoke
is
about,
going to do.
he admonished them to be profitable.
Admonish. Well, excuse my language, Ghanaians typically we are like goats. We are not like sheep. Goat, unless you strike the goat, you will not follow the instructions.
Right.
And that is why I still have fond memories of J.J. Rollins.
Right.
Action, action, action. It's high time we stop the talk and start cracking the whip. And I'm expecting that in the coming months we'll see President Mahama, because you see, some of his appointees are still not clear as to what to do. They still think that we can do the old way. And I'm sure that issues will come in going forward. And we are watching closely how the president is going to. He has done it before. You remember the issue of Victoria Hammer?
That's right.
Yes, he said.
And Deputy Minister of Gender at the time.
So we are waiting to see. If anybody crosses the line, the president must crack the whip. If anybody crosses the line, the chief executive officer of SIGA must be able to sanction those. And the good thing I'm seeing now is the father will have the code of
ethics or conduct
for how they will behave, so that in my company, what we do is that the contract is there. When you go against it, 1, 2, 3, I'll ask you to read the contract and what is there.
What you signed out.
Exactly. And then you do
the needful.
I don't have to say that. And I expect that President Mahama should be able to do that.
How long, final question, how long will it take for these institutions? I mean, you saw the figures. It's heartbreaking. How long will it take for them to bounce back? I mean, averagely, if you will.
If I say that, I can say now because I don't have the figures. As financial economists, this is our duty. We use application of mathematics statistics into financial institutions and companies on uncertainty conditions. That's what we do. So until I get the data, I may not be able to say, but I'm saying that maximum by 3 years, if we put our things together, that is what the theory is saying. We should be able to recover whatever we want to do.
Dr. Bernard Tete Tumaja, thank you very much indeed for your time. He's a financial economist and also a businessman, a serial entrepreneur.
Thank you.
We're grateful that you spent your morning here with us. Thank you very much, Doc.
Thank you, my brother.
And now we have to do some birthdays before we go. If it's your birthday, to Mohammed Yakubu, a.k.a. Alligator of Kolibu Teaching Hospital. Today is your birthday, mashallah. Put Mohammed's photo there, please. Let's celebrate Mohammed. Happy birthday to you. Mohammed Yakubu Alligator. Happy birthday to you, Namanche. Enjoy. Also, a happy birthday to Dr. George Asamoah, Dean of Graduate School and Research, Unimac IJ. Dr. George Asamoah, champion lecturer, swag and foppish and logophile and very intelligent man and a good, very, very good brother. Happy birthday to you, sir. Live long and prosper in good health. Also, a happy birthday to Mr. Ninokwe Taki. Mr. Ninokwe Taki, your dedication to teaching and the impact you make in our lives are truly appreciated. May this year bring you good health, happiness, and continued success. As you always say, have fun. This from level 400 A1 students. They say happy birthday to you. If it's your birthday as well, happy birthday to you, and we pray that you prosper in good health and in good life as well. I've been here with 62's Don Ulo and Janet Kwasin and DJ IBM and also Frederick Kunzotiani and Francis and Juan Mamea and all the other guys who joined us to have a conversation. Now, tomorrow we'll be here to start it all over again. Please know that if you can think it and your heart can believe it, you can achieve it. We're in Gadaman and we're in Greater Accra region, and you know they are known for Pan Logo. My name is Johnny Hughes. This is from Amaziba. Enjoy.